now we continue with Mr. William WARDA, official spokesman for the former Iraqi government, relations officer of Hammurabi Organization for Human Rights. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everybody here, ladies and gentlemen. To talk about peaceful coexistence and building peace on Iraq, it takes us to talk about many topics, including the constitution, the legislative and legal environment, trends of religious, sectarian, and political extremism, and other matters, along with the policies followed down to the treatment, plans, and strategies to promote coexistence. On the level of the Constitution and constitutional principles, although the Constitution is the best of the preceding Iraqi constitutions, it has gaps and barriers that put the stake in the process of building coexistence and reconciled Iraq society. Article 2, for example, Article 2 carries clear contradictions and gives dominance and control to the Islamic religion as a basic source of legislation in a country of multiple religions, races, nationalities, sects, and others. The freedom of beliefs that the Constitution grants in more than one article does not at all means religious freedom. You know, religious freedom means to choose. You have right to choose your religions. This is not available in Iraq. With this, however, there is a lack of recognition of existing religions such as Baha'is, Zoroastrianism, and others. Islamization of minor children of non-Muslim minority when one of the parents convert to Islam. If you go to the Unified National Card Law, Law number 3 of 2016, Article 26, this law affects the rights of non-Muslim minorities. Also, the Personal Status Law number 188 of year 1959, in its second article, indicate that this law applies to all Iraqi except for those exempted by a special law. You know, the Christian and Yazidis and other, they have no special law. So this law implement on them. Article, some friend mentioned about the Article 125 of the Constitution. The Constitution related to granting the rights of minority has become a mere constitutional article without a law regulating the rights of minorities in accordance with it. Since 2005, Dr. Mona mentioned about that. This increasing their sense of injustice and deepens their alienation feeling. Article 3, you know, also this is touch Arab. Some Arab believes that the Constitution didn't do them justice when it separated Iraq from the Arab nation to which they belong. Article 1, if you go to Article 1, emphasize the unity of Iraq as independent state and its federal, republican, and representative democratic system. But in the reality shows that Iraq is closer to a confederal state through the chronic problems between the Baghdad and Erbil. Control mechanism, control of border crossing, revenue from natural resources, all these problems every day we have problems. So this is also affecting minorities and other components. Article 23 concerning housing and transportation and ownership, demographic change, ethnic, national, religious, and regional extremism has played a negative role in the possibility of Iraqis owning property in any area they choose to live. Still, for example, some Kurdish, they would like to buy lands in Ankawa, they have problems. People in Shebek, they would like to buy land in Karakosh, they have problem because this is Christian. So this is also, the demographic change didn't stop at the time of the previous regime and after, and it was practiced by more than one party, whether in minority areas or Kirkuk or in the areas of Baghdad and in the south. Even in in the south, you know about in Babel, there's problem in this issue. Article 7, just to pass, to save the time, maybe I will not mention that. Article 37 is concerned with protecting human freedom and dignity of protecting the individual from the intellectual and political and religious coercion. On the ground, there are daily flagrant violation against human rights and dignity that we monitor daily. Unfortunately, the violators often go unpunished. This is in addition to the feeling of non-Muslim religious followers of intellectual and religious compulsion through the Islamization of minor children when one of the parents convert to Islam. The text, Article 26, as I mentioned before. The Constitution of 2000 does not mean that it is devoid of civilized constitution texts that are in the line with human rights and preserve its dignity. But unfortunately, it is not embodied or implemented on the ground as stipulated in the Constitution. If you go to the legislative and legal environment, Bremer decision and orders to dissolve the Iraqi army and security services have contributed greatly to the emergence of extremism and terrorism, as well as quotas, sectarian, ethnic, and national divisions. The dissolution of these devices created a security vacuum and encouraged the search for local alternative to the power of the state based on different sectarian, religious, ethnic, tribal, or personal basis. Establishing the Governing Council, which is the first Iraqi institution established by the American after change, 2003, on sectarian, ethnic, national, and religious grounds. So, anti-terrorism law, also law number 13, 2005. Its goal is to eliminate terrorism and terrorist acts, but despite the presence of positive aspect in it, it came for the need represented by combating terrorist crime that requires legislative confirmation to eliminate it or limit its impact by legal method. The law is full of flaws and loopholes, especially Article 4. You know, if you see Article 4 in this law, there's a very wide implementation in this article. Political parties law, number 36 of 2015, which is one of the controversial legislation with all the basic principles included in the law or regulate the work of principal parties in Iraqi to ensure political pluralism and achieve wider participation in public affairs. But most political parties in Iraq who participated in the political process don't adopt the principles of cross-sectarian, ethnic, and national citizenship. In fact, some parties adopt purely sectarian or extremism nationalist idea. Also, some parties don't abide by Article 6 of the law, which calls for the adoption of democratic mechanism to choose their leaders. So there is no succession and alternation in leadership, as they are personal parties. If you go to at the institutional or policy level, important and sensitive positions are still held by the powers that hold power, while the participation of minority has not received any attention and is not influential in the political decision of the state. The growth of political fanatism associated with sectarian, ethnic, and national fanatism is represented by the following: not stopping the demographic change policies in minority areas, like Nineveh Plains, Nijar, Kirkuk. The federal government didn't annul the decision of the previous regimes regarding the demographic change. All the previous decision of dictatorial regime is still as it is. There's no change. Even those decision was enacted on Nineveh area is not changed, especially in Nineveh Plain, and didn't come up with alternative legislation to address it. The issue of encroachment on Christian properties continues, whether in the various cities of Iraq or the Kurdistan region of Iraq, without effective solution. But in Kurdistan recently, there was forming a ministerial committee in the Kurdistan region to address this problem of encroachment, the Christian and other minority. This is a positive sign. Also, what happened, the initiative of the leader of the Zagros movement dealing with these kind of abuses, like of the properties of Christian and Sabian Mandaeans in Baghdad. Government, this is what astonished us. Government inability or its deliberated intention to be unable to address this issue of abuses and leave matter to non-state entities for addressing. This is very not logical. Adopting, also in Kurdistan, for example, there is problem adopting the Kurdish language as a subject for education in the curricula of education in the Kurdistan region, along with the abolition of education in Arabic language, weakened the region of integration with the rest of the community and undoubtedly reflected negatively on the level of peaceful coexistence. And because in the dialogue, if you have multi-languages, this will help for coexistence and dialogue. The persistent dispute between the federal government and the Kurdistan region government of Iraq affecting the coexistence and affecting also minorities. For recommendation to enhance coexistence and build peace, it is necessary to reconsider and make constitutional amendment and reform that would enhance coexistence and social cohesion and serve stability and peace building. Second, legislative new laws adapting to constitution and its principles, reviewing legislation that leads to hatred, religious, sectarian, political extremism, regional and separatism, extremism, besides working to reform them. Reform policies that leads to exclusion and marginalization, especially toward minority and vulnerable groups. Develop policies, plans, and strategies that enhance the protection of diversity and social cohesion and seek to build peace and stability in Iraq. Thank you very much.